Hello, I'm Andrew Edgerson, and this is my IGB 180 point of view presentation. In recent years, the video game industry has taken noticeable steps towards inclusion and fairness in representation of underrepresented groups, with evolving character creators, visible same-sex relationships, and portrayal of other genders or sexual orientations that aren't as visible due to heteronormality. This inclusion and representation greatly impact the industry because of the positive influence it has on a wider group of people. A wider audience of people that feel accepted means a higher number of sales. Character creation is one of the biggest ways that players can customize their play to express who they are, and has been present in a wide variety of games since the late 90s. Despite this, it took until 2014 for options other than man or woman to appear for players to choose from, with choice of games creatures such as we, which includes options such as trans man, trans woman, person, and an option for other preferences. It is important to understand that a character creator can be a place for a player to explore other gender identities or looks that they wouldn't normally get to express due to fear of social backlash. Ellie Parvin et al. States this thought well in her article on character creators in games. Video game character creators are a safe environment to try out a fresh new look, a new name, new pronouns, even a new gender. The remarkable thing about character creators is that nothing is permanent. A great example of this is The Sims 4, which, while having the player choose a gendered player model at the start, allows the player to customize a great variety of features, such as clothing preference, if they stand while using the toilet, if they can produce milk, sexual preference, and romantic preference, which allows the player to explore a great variety of possibilities, all fully customized. Heteronormativity is the assumption that everyone is straight or heterosexual, or that it is the default option for all people. This is a harmful assumption because it can lead to harassment of those that don't fall in the default, which may lead to poor mental health, bullying for those who are dismissed by it. Heteronormativity has been the normal for the video games industry for a while, with games really receiving backlash for even having same-sex relationships as an option for players. Mass Effect is a good example of a game that took a chance with representation with the first game's relationship between the female Commander Shepard and Liara, a female presenting alien. Mass Effect copped plenty of backlash for this, mainly from Fox News, with its news segment titled Sexbox, which has since been a relic of the internet that showed the stigma towards games at the time. This backlash stunted the queer representation in the sequel, with the character that was going to be pansexual not being so in the release. Yet this was a stepping stone towards reduced heteronormativity in games. A quote by Jennifer Hale, the voice actress of the female Shepard, sums up the impact well. If you're 30 now, you're like, what? What's the big deal? Which directly speaks to the success of what the first Mass Effect introduced and the pathways it opened for queer representation. Nowadays, there is plenty of queer representation in games. One AAA game that does this representation well is Cyberpunk 2077. What Cyberpunk does well is that not all the romantic options will fall for you regardless of your gender, but some are quartered off, keeping the character's sexuality secure and an intrinsic part of their character. An example of this is Panem and Judy, which can't be romanced by female and male V respectively. When playing games, players want to be able to relate to the characters they are playing, whether that be through experiences or identity. At times, a blank slate that allows the player to apply themselves to can be sufficient as representation, but it can be even more impactful regarding inclusivity if a character that shares traits with a player without having outside input. 72% of LGBTQ gamers say that seeing characters with their gender identity and/or sexual orientation represented well makes them feel better about themselves. As stated by the GLAAD or the GLAAD, shows that representation is paramount in making people feel included. Compared to the past, modern games are more likely to have non-straight male characters as main characters than those in the past. This shows movement towards a more inclusive gaming experience where players can more likely be represented. Examples of these unique characters would be from games such as Overwatch, Guilty Gear, or Dead by Daylight, which have a wide cast of characters that come from all sorts of backgrounds, which can cater to a larger variety of players. However, the biggest hurdle for representation is making it high enough quality for it not to be stereotypical, or not having it be shoehorned in, making the representation be tokenistic. A poor representation of a group can reinforce present negative stereotypes and make it harder for inclusion to become commonplace. This isn't to say that if a developer can't create an effective portrayal of queer characters, that they shouldn't include them in their piece of media, but that they should take the time to research, reach out to people similar to the character, or to ask an organization such as GLAAD for support in their creation. Some representation is better than no representation. GLAAD is an organization that works towards having accurate portrayals of LGBTQ people and their stories in media. GLAAD has worked with game studios to foster inclusion with the creation of queer characters. One such example is with Tell Me Why, with the first playable AAA game to have a transgender protagonist. GLAAD assisted in making sure Tyler was as realistic as possible and was stated as being invaluable in the creation process. Conclusion: due to the wide steps the industry has taken in representation and portrayal of underrepresented groups, with robust character creators, inclusion of same-sex relationships, greater variety in character sexualities, and clear and accurate depictions of queer people, it is clear to see that the industry has and will continue to improve going into the future as it steps away from heteronormativity into a more inclusive industry. Thank you for watching, and these are my references. Thank you.